Hello guys, I wanted to talk with you about the Capitol riots that happened about a month ago, but specifically regarding Jordan Sheridan's status coup, which is a news outlet which filmed quite a bit of the footage for the insurrection, riot, coup, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, they did a lot of they were responsible for a lot of the filming, and they're a small they're a small kind of independent news outlet, and yeah, they were responsible for most of the I don't know if I would say most of it, but they were responsible for some of the more popular footage that was taken that day on January 6th. And so because of that, you have a lot of bigger news outlets, for everything from primetime news to cable news, all the big channels, who were using this footage in their own news programming, covering this riot. And so it might surprise you that, or maybe not, that YouTube had taken down and all of his materials. That's the footage of Jordan Sheridan's the footage from Jordan Sheridan's channel of the Capitol riot was that's been removed, and it makes no sense because this guy is on the left. He's never said a word he's never defended what happened there. He has no affiliation with people there. He was simply it wasn't even him there. It was one of his reporters covering it. And under just the context of just covering the riot, apparently wasn't enough for YouTube to take down his material. And yet the countless media outlets that used his material are still very, very available on YouTube, and that is what you would call targeting independent media and going after. It's I mean, there must be something to the fact that, I mean, why would somebody like CNN or Fox News or NBC be able to cover this, while status coup is, even though it's their footage, they're not allowed to show it on their platform, even though it's it's a historical event, and YouTube says that that's not okay, that it's I don't understand, like that it breaks their community guidelines somehow for showing this footage. It makes no sense, and it comes off as being harsh and targeting of small and independent news sources, and it just gives off it just makes it clear that this that it's difficult and almost impossible to make a dent if you're small or an independent news source. So it's it's very unfortunate that this kind of thing is going on, because we need to be able to, well, for one thing, if status quo wasn't able to get their videos on there, or if videos were banned before the other mainstream media outlets picked it up, then nobody would have been able. Then lots of the footage of the Capitol would have been missed, and nobody would have been able to see it. And it just shows you that YouTube has YouTube has outlets. They have news networks that they prefer. There are news outlets that they think are serious, and then there's ones that they think aren't, and they can pull you down just for exposing the truth. I mean, truth isn't a defense, apparently, and there's nothing more truthful than simple footage of an event. So, yeah, it's disappointing to see this kind of thing, because you want to encourage small time media outlets, because the idea that you want a healthy media ecosystem has as many news outlets as possible, and small and independent news is a large part of that. It can't all be fancy studios and anchors and huge networks like that. Like that's not a healthy media environment. We need to be able to have a wide variety of options, and YouTube seems to be not interested in that. And we have in situations like this, within the last year of all these unprecedented events and social discord and social unrest, we need to have access to that and have it be able to be covered by as many outlets as possible, and YouTube shouldn't be able to just pick and choose and cherry pick which ones that they think are acceptable, especially when all they're doing is showing the footage, especially if they're the ones who initially shot the footage and their footage is still floating around on the internet and on YouTube. It's just absurd. So I think that they hopefully they have a change of heart and they allow them that access back. But by the time that they would, it's gonna be too late and damaging to the organization, because they're not going to get the ad revenue and the support they need by their viewers. So the damage may already be done, but in the long term, the damage could be just the fact that these news outlets don't get to have the platform that they need in order to reach their audience, and in order to just tell newsworthy stories. So this kind of thing just keeps happening, and it's just one thing after another. YouTube is really not exempt. I know I prefer YouTube to other outlets. It's the one that I'm reaching out to you guys on. So, you make do with what you have, but there really needs to be more out there. There has to be more options, and really, ideally, we need to have public. We need to have a public version of this kind of thing. If the government can't do more regulating and take more legal action against these companies, and they can't repeal the Section 230, then they should at least be able to come up with their own government-ran version of outlets like this. And it may not be as polished and smooth or as relevant, but people need to be able to use these tools in a way like some of these things need to be a public utility. I'm not saying that there can't be private options, but in the modern age, to live without, you should be able to choose between a billion-dollar company, like a multi-billion-dollar company like Google and YouTube and Facebook. You shouldn't have to just have them or no media or no social media access. There should be alternatives, ones that abide by freedom of speech laws and aren't up for any and all changes dependent on what the CEO or what a couple of censors, whether human or artificial intelligence, what they decide. So, all right, well, glad to share that with you guys. Thank you.